Having a contact form or any type of form on a website is an important part of interaction with visitors. So in this video, I want to talk about what the options are for contact forms through WordPress plugins. And there are really two basic groups. There are the free ones, and then there are some paid plugins. And I'll take a look at Contact Form 7, Fast Secure Contact Form, and Form Builder, sort of three of the major ones in the free area. Gravity Forms I'll mention, which is a very popular paid plugin, and then there's a specialty form called TDO Mini Forms that I'll talk about briefly as well. But let's go and have a look at how these work. I want to start first with Form Builder. What it does is it basically creates a form for you. So let's just go create a new one. And it just goes and creates it and automatically starts populating it. So I'm going to actually edit it now. And once you get to editing, you'll see it's fairly easy to use. There's the controls for the form, subject, who it's going from, the method you're going to use, and you just mouse over these and see exactly what it means, so it answers your questions quite easily. And then you get to each of the fields. So here's our first field, and you can move them up and down easily with these buttons. You can have any type of form field that you want. You choose from a drop-down menu there, and it gives you these three fields to begin with, and then you can keep adding fields as you want. So it's fairly user-friendly, and visually I find fairly intuitive as well. Here's how it works on posts and pages. It actually creates a little box here, and you choose which one you want. Now I haven't refreshed the page, but it's got a second form in there, and I just choose that. And I say I want this form on there, and I update my page. Now the trick is it just adds it to the end of the page, so you can't sort of control where it's appearing on the page. So when I go back here to refresh, it's there, but I can't sort of move it around where I want on the page. It just puts it in at the end, which may not be a big issue for you, but it doesn't have the flexibility that maybe some of these others do. I'm just going to remove that one. You could see our second form was showing up in there, so I'll just update that. So now let's move over to this one, which is Fast Secure Contact Forms. As you can see, downloaded over 1,300,000 times, very popular. This one works by grabbing a short code for the form and pasting it anywhere you want, into pages, posts, widgets, wherever you want. Now the only thing I find with this is it's a little bit counterintuitive the way it functions. They're trying to make it user-friendly, but for me I haven't found it that user-friendly the way it looks. First of all, you've got to make sure you're keeping track of which form you're on, and it does tell you here, Form 2, whatever title you give it will be here. And as you scroll down, you just make sure it's always on that form. You can view your form, see what it's going to look like by going here. And so that's fairly handy to see, but then you've got to go back to edit it, back to preview. At least you can view it, which is handy. It's when you get into this portion here that gets a little bit tricky, I find. There's just a lot of information going on here. Yes, there is help, but the way it's laid out, I find it a little visually tricky, and a lot of clients I've tried it with have found it a little bit overwhelming. And you can choose, do you want a CAPTCHA on there? What fields do you want? Now we're actually getting into the fields. I find this whole section in here just a little bit confusing. The way this one sort of separated them very clearly individually, you don't get that over here quite the same way. So these are all things to consider when you're thinking of them for a client. And finally, I'm going to go over to Contact Form 7. Now, this is the most popular contact form, and it's actually the one that I use. It's probably the least user-friendly in certain respects, but I found it very reliable, and clients I find do catch on to it pretty quickly. The nice thing here is, again, you're using short codes that you have to paste into your post, your page, or your text widget, but the nice thing is you just click on it and it automatically highlights it. And it's very well highlighted here, so clients understand that's the place to do it. The way you generate new fields is you go like this. You choose, let's say I'm going to do a drop-down menu, and it leads you through very nicely, I think, what you need to enter. And as you put in all your different options and choices, they appear in a code here. You grab this code and you copy it and you put it over here in your HTML. This is probably the most confusing part for clients, but I just say to them, replicate what you see here. If you want another field area, you just copy all of this and paste it, and then put in your new square brackets wherever you want to. That's not too bad. The one thing they do have to remember to do is format how they're going to receive the message, and you can control that by clicking here, copying this, and pasting it into here to the message body. So again, you've got lots of control, but there is a little bit of work to be done. However, I think in general it's a very powerful concept, and I've had clients use it with a lot of success. So anyway, those are a few examples of ones you can do. Now when you get into Gravity Forms, which is a paid one, a very popular paid one, it's extremely user-friendly, very drag and drop and all of that sort of thing. And that's what you're expecting to pay for as well. But very easy to use and very popular. So those are a few of the samples that you can try out, many different kinds of forms. There's also a very interesting one called TDO Mini Forms, and what it does, it actually allows people to send in posts. Now they don't automatically publish, they have to wait to be published, but it's an interesting way of allowing your visitors to interact with the site and actually post material. Anyway, lots of choices as far as forms go for using WordPress.